The Teutonic Order, formerly known as the Order of Brothers of the German House of St. Mary in Jerusalem, was one of the most prominent military religious orders of the medieval period. Founded in 1190 during the Third Crusade, it originally functioned as a hospital order to care for German pilgrims in the Holy Land, much like the Knights Hospitaller. However, over time, the order evolved into a formidable military force, deeply involved in the political and religious conquest of the Baltic region. Alongside its military role, the Teutonic Order carried a rich array of esoteric symbols, rituals, and secretive practices that distinguished it from other medieval military orders. The Teutonic Order was established in the late 12th century, emerging in Acre, Palestine, during the Third Crusade. Its initial mission was charitable and medical, caring for the sick and injured pilgrims from German-speaking lands. The order received papal recognition in 1199 from Pope Innocent III, officially granting it ecclesiastical authority and privileges. Unlike the Knights Templar or the Hospitallers, whose identities were strongly tied to the Holy Land, the Teutonic Order's transformation into a military force occurred after its relocation to Eastern Europe, particularly in Prussia and the Baltic territories. This shift reflected the medieval church's desire to extend Christendom into pagan lands, particularly along the southeastern coast of the Baltic Sea. From the early 13th century, the Teutonic Order embarked on a series of military campaigns known collectively as the Baltic Crusades. These campaigns were aimed at converting the pagan Prussian, Lithuanian, and Latvian peoples to Christianity, often by force. The Order's strategy combined military conquest with colonization and Christianization, establishing fortified cities, monasteries, and settlements across the region. The Baltic Crusades were both political and religious. The Teutonic Knights acted as agents of the Holy Roman Empire and the papacy, expanding Christian rule while simultaneously building a monastic state. Cities like Marienburg, Malbork, Königsberg, Kaliningrad, and Riga became centres of Teutonic power. Their conquests were brutal, involving campaigns that often led to the destruction of pagan communities and the imposition of European feudal systems. The Teutonic Order had a highly hierarchical structure, combining monastic discipline with military organisation. Members were divided into several classes. Knights, full members who took religious vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and engaged directly in combat. Priests, responsible for spiritual guidance and religious ceremonies within the order. Sergeants or brothers, lesser nobles or professionals who supported the order militarily and administratively. Lay brothers and support staff. Non-combatants who maintained the order's infrastructure, including hospitals, granaries, and fortifications. The order maintained strict secrecy regarding its internal ceremonies, initiation rituals, and military strategies. Initiation often involved oaths of obedience and symbolic acts demonstrating loyalty to the order and God. Some historians argue that these rituals incorporated esoteric Christian symbolism, blending spiritual devotion with a warrior ethos. The Teutonic Order's symbolism was deeply intertwined with Christian iconography, yet it also carried mystical and esoteric meanings unique to the order. Key symbols include the black cross on a white field, the order's most recognisable emblem, representing purity, sacrifice, and martial dedication. The black cross also symbolised the knight's vow to defend Christianity, and its geometric simplicity suggested order, discipline, and divine protection. The Maltese-style crosses and heraldry. Many Teutonic castles and documents displayed complex crosses, combining knightly, monastic, and mystical symbolism. Fortifications and sacred geometry. Teutonic castles were not only military structures, but also representations of cosmic and religious order. The layout often reflected sacred proportions, invoking divine harmony and spiritual authority. Ceremonial armour and regalia. Armour, banners, and ceremonial swords carried symbols of the cross and Latin inscriptions, reminding knights that their service was both martial and spiritual. These symbols were intended to foster internal cohesion, reinforce religious devotion, and create an aura of mystique that separated the order from secular rulers and other military factions. Members of the Teutonic Order were deeply committed to the monastic life, as well as martial service. Daily routines included prayers, attendance at Mass, meditation, and devotional study. Secretive elements included initiation rites. New members were often brought into the order through ceremonies that symbolically represented death to the old self, and rebirth as a knight monastic warrior. Oaths and vows. Full obedience to the Grand Master, combined with a commitment to uphold Christian virtues. Spiritual meditations. Knights were encouraged to contemplate divine justice, the morality of warfare, and their personal conduct within the order. Mystical interpretation of warfare. Battles against pagan peoples were seen as spiritual struggles, a physical manifestation of the eternal fight between good and evil. These practices blurred the line between the secular and the spiritual, making the order both a military force and a mystical brotherhood. By the 13th and 14th centuries, the Teutonic Order had grown into a state-like entity, controlling large swaths of territory in modern-day Poland, Latvia, Estonia, and Russia. The Grand Master functioned as both a religious leader and a political sovereign, wielding authority over knights, clergy, and local populations. The Order's influence extended to diplomatic relations, negotiations with the papacy, Holy Roman Empire, and neighbouring monarchs. Legal systems, establishing codified laws to govern conquered territories. Economic power, trade, taxation, and resource management to support both the Order's military campaigns and monastic activities. This combination of spiritual authority and political power created a mystique around the Order, making it both feared and respected across Europe. The Teutonic Order's dominance began to wane in the 15th century, following military defeats, internal disputes, and changing political dynamics. The Battle of Grunwald, 1410, where Polish-Lithuanian forces decisively defeated the Teutonic Knights, marked a turning point. By the 16th century, much of the Order's territory was secularized, though it continued as a religious and charitable organisation in a diminished capacity. Despite its decline, the Teutonic Order left a lasting legacy. Architectural heritage. Castles and fortified cities built by the Order still stand as symbols of medieval military and religious power. Symbolic influence. The Black Cross and esoteric symbols of the Teutonic Order influenced later chivalric and fraternal traditions. Historical mystique. Legends of secret rituals, hidden knowledge, and mystical battles continue to fascinate historians, writers, and conspiracy theorists alike. The Teutonic Order exemplifies the fusion of religious devotion, martial discipline, and esoteric symbolism that characterized many medieval secret societies. From its beginnings in the Crusades to its transformation into a sovereign military state in the Baltic, the order demonstrated how spiritual purpose and political power could intertwine. Its symbols, rituals, and secretive practices created a mystical aura that continues to capture the imagination of scholars and enthusiasts of medieval history. The story of the Teutonic Order is more than a tale of conquest. It is a window into the medieval worldview, where warfare, spirituality, and secrecy were inextricably linked, and where the line between the sacred and the martial was deliberately blurred. Its legacy endures in architecture, historical scholarship, and the broader fascination with esoteric medieval societies.